Chris Sturhan. Welcome to another episode of Drinks from Eddie Muller's Noir Bar. Each week I take a chapter from the book Eddie Muller's Noir Bar, Cocktails Inspired by the World of Film Noir, and I talk about the film in that chapter and I make the drink associated with it. Today we are going to be looking at the film Three Strangers and making the drink The Millionaire. Now, Three Strangers came out in 1946. It was directed by John Negulescu, and it was co-written, the screenplay was co-written by Walter Huston. The film was actually meant to be a follow-up to The Maltese Falcon, but that didn't work out, and with a slightly different cast, they made it several years later. Now, the film stars one of film noir and one of Hollywood's great couples, and that would be Peter Lorre and Sidney Greenstreet. Now, they made about 8 or 9 films together, and almost all of them were film noir films, and almost all of them turned out to be really quintessential examples of film noir. So, and this again is no different. Three Strangers is great that way. Now, the premise of Three Strangers is one of the other main character, played by Geraldine Fitzgerald. She has traveled in the Far East, and she has a statue, a bronze statue idol of this Chinese goddess Kuan Yin. And Kuan Yin, it is said, will grant a wish to 3 strangers, provided they are strangers, and they all agree on the same wish, and they make that wish at midnight on Chinese New Year. So that's what happens. She has a statue. She has it set up in a room. She finds 2 other strangers. Is very careful not to introduce herself to them to make sure that they remain strangers until after they make their wish, and then they make a wish. Well, what wish would everybody agree on? I mean, different people have different needs, but what's the one thing that fulfills almost all needs? And that would be money. And so they agree to wish for money, and it turns out that Peter Lorre has a sweepstakes ticket that he just bought for 10 shillings, and so they decide to split the sweepstakes ticket and make the wish that this will win. Now they make Geraldine Fitzgerald has them agree that if they win the sweepstakes ticket, they're going to follow it through to the very end. The way it works is if you win the sweepstakes, that translates into a bet on a horse race that will possibly win you even more money, but possibly win you nothing. So, but they all agree to those terms. Now, the rest of the movie kind of follows 3 different storylines. Geraldine Fitzgerald is married, but her husband has moved away several years ago to Canada, and she's trying to win him back. She thinks if she comes to him as a rich woman so that he knows that she is not just out after his money and his station, that he will take her back, and so that's her motivation. Peter Lorre is kind of a drunkard, and what he would like to do is he'd like to buy a bar where he could just sit and drink all day and not have to worry about anything. Now, the Peter Lorre story is a little more complicated than that, and probably most of the film follows the Peter Lorre story. Humphrey Bogart was the one that John Huston had in mind for the Peter Lorre character. And I could see Humphrey Bogart playing this character, but Peter Lorre does fine with it. So basically, he is a drunk who gets involved with some criminals. They catch him in a bar and ask him to go with them and keep an eye out for a cop. And the crime goes wrong. A cop is killed, and now Peter Lorre is an accessory to murder for killing a cop. And so he's trying to stay away from the hangman, basically. Sidney Greenstreet is a lawyer, and his main client is a very rich widow who has a large fortune. That part of the trust that her fortune is in, part of the stipulations of it, is that it must be invested in very safe, stable government bonds that don't yield a lot of money, but also don't have hardly any risk for the money. And Sidney Greenstreet has found an opportunity to make a lot of money by playing the market with his clients' funds. And he figures, okay, he can make a lot of money, and if it goes down, he can always cover the loss with his own savings. Well, it turns out it goes down too far and too fast, and now he's on the hook for that. So that's kind of the story in a nutshell. It is great to see these characters going a little bit out of their what you would normally see them for. Like, for instance, Peter Lorre, rare to see him pretty much carry the whole movie. He's not necessarily carrying the entire movie, but he is definitely the main star in it, which is nice to see. He does a very good job. I could see Humphrey Bogart playing this role and doing a good job with it too, but Peter Lorre rocks it, so that's good. Sidney Greenstreet, in his desperation, once he knows he's going to be exposed for embezzlement, he tries to get out of it by wooing his client, this middle-aged widow, and it's kind of, there's this very weird, awkward scene where Peter Lorre is trying to be a player, and that was awesome. Just seeing that. You know, my only real complaint about the movie is that it is a little bit slow, and I think that's hard to because you have 3 different storylines, and they kind of have to set the stage for the one story time and take it out a certain ways, and then switch to a different one and do the same thing there, and it just kind of slows things down. But it was definitely worth watching, and it was a good film. Now, The Millionaire. The Millionaire, the film actually takes place in London. So Eddie Muller said he was trying to come up with a drink that would capture the spirit of London and the movie. And naturally, if you're in London, you'd probably be drinking gin. But he said he tried several things and really couldn't come up with anything, and ended up switching to a bourbon drink, the Millionaire, which is what we'll be making in a few minutes. And he said, you know, it just doesn't work as well with gin. You just can't switch it over to gin and have it still work. So that's what we'll be doing. So I'm going to stop the camera right now and get set up to make the drink. We'll make the drink and we'll see what we think about it. I hope you stick around for that. Thanks. And we are back. So, The Millionaire. This is a shake and drink, so we'll take out our shaker. It's got a lot of ingredients, so I'm going to try to keep them all straight. Start with 2 ounces of bourbon. I'm using Maker's Mark that I had left over from WonderCon. So we'll be using that. Okay, now, and next we have Grand Marnier. So that was 2 ounces of bourbon. Grand Marnier, got 3/4 of an ounce of that. So let's do that. There's our Grand Marnier. We've got a 1/2 ounce of, Eddie says in the book, Palma or Grenadine. I chose Grenadine. He said use homemade Grenadine, and I actually had some homemade Grenadine in the refrigerator. So we're going to go with that. And that's a 1/2 ounce of the Grenadine, so we'll do that. Now, Grenadine, actually very easy to make. It's really just pomegranate juice and water, or pomegranate juice and sugar, rather, and you just heat it up and get it hot, mix it together. I use 1.5 parts of sugar to 1 part of Grenadine, and it'll keep in the fridge for about a month. So, let's see. All right, so then we've got a 1/2 ounce of lemon juice. So here's our 1/2 ounce of lemon juice, and then a 1/4 ounce of absinthe, which is quite a bit of absinthe, to be honest with you. Absinthe, a lot of times you're just using dashes or bar spoons, so 1/4 ounce seems like quite a bit to me, but we'll give it a shot. All right, the next thing, we've got an egg white, and I've never made a drink with an egg white, so hopefully this does not go horribly awry. I'm going to try breaking it into this thing. I've got an extra one just in case I screw it up. Okay, there is our egg white. Of course, I don't have it. Oh, we can put it in there. All right, great. Now, so here's our egg white. And kind of went in there with a big thud. Now, Eddie says with this, you want to dry shake it. What that means is you shake it a little bit without any ice, just to kind of get the egg white to foam. So we're going to give that, and that's why you're using egg white as well. You're using egg white really just to do a really good foam. He said, I think about 15 seconds, so guessing that's probably long enough. All right, so there we go. And then we're going to add our ice. Maybe. Oh, this is not working super well. Done. There we go. All right, I'll call that good enough. All right, now lid goes back on. We've got our ice in it, and we're going to shake it for another 10 seconds or so. Okay, and take our strainer, and we're going to strain it into a chilled coupe glass. Let me move this out of the way so you can see it a little better. And there we go. And you can see that nice foam on the top of it. Whoa. That barely fits in my coupe glass. Now, the next thing, actually, I could probably go a little bit more in there. Okay, and then the last bit here is we have ground nutmeg. I've never used ground nutmeg in a drink too, so I've got a little nutmeg nut and grater. Okay, there we go. Hopefully that wasn't too much. Didn't seem like it was much when I was doing it, but seems like quite a bit looking at it. But here we go. So we now have the Millionaire. Ooh, you can really smell the nutmeg. So here we go. Wow. That is, I'm not even sure how to describe that. That is a whole lot of incredible. I really like this one. Wow, the Millionaire. Probably a great winter drink with the nutmeg and all. It's actually 3rd of December when I'm recording this. So it would be a good Christmas drink. So if you get a chance, go out and give this one a try. It's really pretty good. All right. So from a booth in the back of Eddie Muller's Noir Bar, we're going to say cheers, and I hope you join me next time. Thanks. Bye. Wow, that was more of an than I wanted, but whatever. Okay. Cheers.